This is Enid Sinclair, and this is the sweater I'm gonna talking about in this video.
If you don't know who she is,
Google.
so basically I just read in the screen right now. Enid Sinclair, she's a werewolf student at Nevermore Academy, as well as Wednesday Addams' roommate's TV show is Wednesday. You can watch it on Netflix.
Meet your new roommate.
That's the first showed up.
It's so read it. Howdy, roomie. Wednesday. This is Enid Sinclair.
We're gonna have a lot of episodes for recreating of Wednesday series, some kind of sweater, a crochet and knitting project. This one is the first thing that I'm obsessed with. Here she goes.
What the hell did you do to my room?
Oh my god.
It's about an
Do you
hour
look at it?
before.
You can find more pictures about it, of course.
Google again.
An Enid Sinclair sweater. Oh, this one. But this is not what we're gonna talk about today. We're talking about this in this episode. This one is a knitting one. I'm still looking for the color and the yarn. I still can't find anything, so I will start with this one first. This one also great. There's a lot of cool things in the movie. This one too. Let's go back to what we're gonna talk about in this episode. This one. The first time it's showing up is actually the end of the series. Maybe this one, I guess. This one.
Are you okay? You're not gonna wolf out on me, are
Yeah,
you?
this is not
It is a full blood moon.
a knitting
I'm okay.
sweater.
I think this is helping.
As you can see.
That's a picture of Enid wearing the sweater. This one is from the model. I love the fluffy heart. Next thing we're gonna do is break down all of this ratio, figuring how we're gonna do to get the style. The fluffy heart here is what I really love. For me, it's a signature for the sweater. And the color too, rainbowy thing. I'm trying to looking for some yarn which is have the exact color like this. I use an app called Collab Note to measure the proportions of the sweater. Simply just use the ruler, zoom in and out. And sorry if it's in Vietnamese. I have no plan to filming all this process, so we almost get to the finished sweater. Here we have 3 color with just a same brand and same weight. It's light. I'm using this with a 4mm needle, which is US number 6. Looks so great. Oh my god, I love it. As you can see, does it remind you of Enid? For me, of course, yes. This one was like rainbowy thing. I thought this one will match the vibe, but when I knit it, I don't think that is match. It's still great, but it's just not match. I think it was too long per color. As you can see, I knit them in the row, which is 250 stitches per row, but it still looks like that. This one was like the same color. Someday I will use this one. I think it's both great. I knit them in the row, no sewing over there. I'll sew them in the back. I think the original one was drop shoulder and drop sleeves. I always prefer set-in sleeve. So maybe this one is my very first drop shoulder, drop sleeve kind of sweater. I was finished the neck opening. In the front, round wide neck. I knit a few rows in the back. I used 2 balls already to fit the color. The back I used the third one. There's 3 balls left. Oh my god, look at this color. So great. This is one of my favorite yarn ever. I think it's similar with mandala cake, I guess. Let's see what else comes out. Wow, someday I'm gonna do one with this. So nice. This is the gauge. I hope it turns out really well. This is me working on the purl side. Is there anyone enjoying the purl stitch like me? Some people say they hate it. They just want all the knit stitch. But I feel it's more relaxing when it's working with both sides. It's better for our hands rather than just one movement over a long periods of time. So don't hate the purl stitch. I finished the front panel and knit the back up to the shoulder already. So now I'm gonna do the shoulder slope. Before doing that, I put on some stitch marker for the shoulder width and the back neck decrease. I like to use stitch markers instead of counter to count the rows. I mark every 20 or 10 rows between two markers. The first marker is for the back shoulder, which is exactly the same as the front, counting from the outside in. And the second marker is for a back neck decrease. For the shoulder slope, I'll add some short row in between few stitches. It depends on your gauge. I prefer to do some math or following professional design on pattern. In my case, the gauge is 23 stitches and 31 rows, so I'll add one short row between 6 and 7 stitches. I put some markers on, so we're not going to forget about the short row. We're finishing on one side, and let's do it for the other side, which is exactly the same. I'm having total 4 short rounds per one side. Let's check it one last time to make sure everything is right. I'm casting off for the back neck opening using a simple cast off method. This video is just a walkthrough, not a detailed tutorial, so I'm not gonna talk about any technique. There's a lot of short row method that you can use, but I prefer German short row method. I knit up to the stitch marker, which is for the short row position. I remove the marker and turn. And now we're working on the purl side. First, bring the yarn behind the working needle, slip stitch as if to knit, then bring the yarn forward and purl. We do all the purl stitch up until the back neck opening. We pass all the stitch marker on the purl side, not doing any short row on purl side. After finishing all 4 times of short row, now I'm gonna knit from the back neck opening to the shoulder edge. I do one SSK at the beginning of the row for a back neck decrease. You can easily recognize this short row stitch here, which is really special. Here you are, the special stitch. I'm gonna bring up this loop yarn here to the needle, bring it up, and then I'm gonna knit 2 together through back loops. And now we're done. Continue with normal stitches until we meet a special stitch once again, and do exactly the same for all of it. Bring this loop here up to the needle and knit 2 together through back loops, just like we did before. Here I'm showing you the cast off method that I use, which just SSK to all the stitches in a row until we have no stitches left. In this case, you don't need to use a bigger needle. All the stitches turned out just fine, not too tight and not too loose. After casting off all the stitches, I cut off the yarn, leave the long tail for sewing later. I usually take twice the length that I need to sew. Cut off the yarn, pull it through, and I will finish the back shoulder. Now you can use sewing needle to sew the back and the front together at the shoulder position. I love both the purl side and the knit side. It's me trying to show you difference between them, but I guess it looks just the same. You know what I mean, it's still different. And by the way, I'm sorry for the messy in the background. Now let's sew them together and try to make it pretty as much as I can on both sides. I have a few sewing needle in the house, but this two is my favorite, one in metal and one in plastic. I'm using this small one, which is for lightweight yarn. Pull the yarn through and start sewing. The first sewing stitch, I pulled through both loops, so the edge will stay put. After that, I just take one loop per each stitch. So it will be pretty on both sides. And you don't need to pull them tight after every stitch. Just sew a few loops together and tighten them up later. I'm not usually use this sewing method. It seemed too tight for me, but maybe it's good on both sides. So I give it a try and hope I don't need to do it all over again. This is the last stitch. Pull the yarn through the loop and tighten up. This is what it comes out. It looks not too bad, so I don't need to do it all over again because I'm happy with it. Good on both sides. Okay. This is me enjoying the sewing time and my passion for drinks. I'm done sewing the shoulders together and now I can try it on. Looks pretty good for me. Gonna use that for the sleeve. Now let's do the 2x2 ripping for the hem. I tried to take the yarn inside out. Whoopsie whoopsie. Please don't laugh. I believe that it's happening to all of us. But why are we still addicted to it? I don't understand. Don't get me wrong, I'm not addicted to the ribbing. But I have to do it anyway. So, oh my god, 250 stitches. For the ribbing at the hem, I like to use the crochet hook to pick up the stitches. It seems easy for me, but you don't need to do it with a crochet hook. Of course, you still can do it with a knitting needles. Not that I can't do it with a knitting needle, I just don't like it. But I still can do it anyway. After picking up all the stitches, I put on the marker, which is I made it myself, and do the 2x2 ribbing. I just do about like 2 or 3 centimeters of ribbing, just like in the original one, not too long. When casting off the ribbing, I like to use the SSK and P2 together to cast off the stitches. If I meet the purl stitch, I use P2 together, and if it's a knit stitch, then it will be SSK. I used to use a sewing needle, so it will be look exactly like machine work, but now I prefer this way. It's easier and simple. Just a few stitches left and we're done. Pull the yarn through the last loop. Then use the scissor to cut. As you can see here, I finished a few rounds of 2x2 ribbing. Maybe you're wondering what is that? It just pick up the stitches around the neck, and after that I'm using my crochet hook to do this one. So this will be, in my opinion, it will look nicer. This is almost perfect. Just a little bit look like it's just rainbow, but it's definitely different. With the Enid Sinclair, I still love it so much. I was so concerned about doing the rib here to get sleeveless vest, which is I really love. If we have to make a sleeve, I've already did this. I tried to sew them in, it didn't match at all. It was too ugly, so I don't want to get any pictures of filming it, so I removed them. I'm gonna try it on right now. I was messing it up. Maybe you think it's so okay, but look. Yeah, not even close to my armpit. As I recall, for a sleeveless vest, let's put all of this markers away. This is a short row. It looks so nice. A little bit of shoulder slopes. I would never skip it. It's time, baby. It's time for you to go. So this is some pictures of me trying it on and me in front of the camera and recording myself. This is the end of the episode 1. There will be the episode 2 and 3. See you soon.